There are three things that you can use to describe an electromagnetic wave. One is the speed of propagation of the wave, and that's usually represented by the letter c, lowercase c, and that value is 2.998 times 10 to the 8th meters per second. Now, the distance that the wave travels between consecutive crests, okay, is known as the wavelength, and that's given the symbol, Greek letter symbol lambda, lowercase lambda. And the frequency, that means the number of cycles that would pass through a given point. So let's say I'm looking at the wave at this point right here. Okay, then I time it for 1 second, and I'm going to say how many of these waves will pass, how many crests will pass through this wave this location every second. Then that's called the frequency. So the number of cycles that passes through a point per second is your frequency, and the unit for frequency is per second, or hertz. Okay, so the distance traveled per cycle is lambda, right? So that's in meters, in SI units, times the number of cycles per second. So your times the frequency, which is the unit is per second, must be equal to the speed of the wave, which is c, which will be in meters per second. Okay, so let's look at an example. What would be the frequency of green light that has a wavelength of 500 nanometers? So if you have electromagnetic wave that has a wavelength of 500 nanometers, your eyes will perceive it as green light. So let's calculate what the frequency of this wave would be. So what do? We say that lambda times nu is equal to c. This is how wavelength, frequency, and speed are related. And if we want to solve for the frequency, you just divide both sides by lambda. And so I get frequency equals c over lambda. Speed of light is 2.998 times 10 to the 8th meters per second, divided by wavelength, in this case is 500 nanometers, so 500.0 times 10 to the negative 9 meters. The prefix nano, as a nanometer, means 10 to the negative 9. Okay, so let's calculate that. We have 2.998 times 10 to the 8th divided by 500 times 10 to the negative 9, and that gives us, scientific notation, 5.996 times 10 to the 14th, and your unit would be per second, or hertz. Okay, so that's your answer.